Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, other than that, though, that's pretty much all my negative thoughts. But I know some people have brought up these aspects and stuff too. But just like, I think a lot of people are surrounded by just like, this is their version of Batman. This is the version of Batman they've always wanted. And that's cool. I really liked it. This is the version I've always wanted. But just, it could have been done a little bit better. And we almost got it. I felt like it's still not my favorite Batman movie.
I'm sorry.
I wouldn't be bothering you here, but your people keep telling me you're unavailable.
What's up, YouTube? We are Drive-By Movies, and you are watching
Fresh Releases.
My name is James.
My name's Blaze.
And The Batman just came out recently. Everyone's talking about it. Might as well just watch us two talk about it now.
I got you! I got you!
So, The Batman, it's about when the Riddler, a sadistic serial killer, begins murdering key political figures in Gotham. Batman is forced to investigate the city's hidden corruption and question his family's involvement. So, James, there's a couple camps when we're talking about Batman. There's the Christopher Nolan is God camp of like Dark Knight, Batman Begins. And then there's also the camp of like, oh, well, I really like the classics. I like Tim Burton. Or there's the next level. I like the classics. I like the Batman 66, there's like that other camp, which I have to say, honestly, recently I've been rewatching a lot of Batman 66, which is honestly available on Tubi. And I think everyone has access to Tubi. It's free. The remasters on there honestly look amazing. So I highly recommend anyone that likes really campy stuff, go check out that Batman 66 on Tubi. I think that's the next tip there. Tubi is a great service that's available to everyone. You don't even need an account to sign up, so definitely check that out. This isn't a plug, but I just felt like talking about Batman 66 for once. But anyways, speaking of the Matt Reeves, the Batman, this is not really typically what I would think of as a movie. Like, the Batman has always been like a title for different iterations of Batman. And this movie doesn't, like, maybe it does take aspects that I feel like entitle it as the Batman, but I honestly felt like maybe that title should have been reserved for a different style of Batman at a later date. Anyways, how do you feel about that?
Yeah. Wait, so I'm actually confused about what you're saying about the title exactly, or like...
I feel like there's always like a show, like TV shows or comics that's like The Batman, and they always take a more like a more honest, like less serious and dour tone. Like this film is very serious, dour, very, very, very realistic. I think that's one of the things. This is like way more realistic than even the Nolan films at times. So I feel like maybe that like they did take an iconic title of the Batman, which is fine, but was this really the Batman that we deserved?
I see. I mean, a lot of people seem to feel that way. The consensus seems like very well praised. I mean, of course, there is some negative thoughts behind it, and I'm going to have some of those too. But overall, I really did enjoy the movie. But like, I think I like the direction that they went in. It's kind of a mixture between, when you say the classics, for me, the classics for me are Batman 1989 and Batman Returns. Those are the ones that, when I was like 4 or 5 years old, I was watching those nonstop because I wasn't born when 89 came out, but the 92 one with Batman Returns, like I was watching that one nonstop as a kid growing up. But yeah, so I like that this one was kind of a mix with that, with the realistic version of the Nolan movies, and then this one's also kind of doing its own thing. But there are a couple things holding it back. Matt Reeves is a director that I really do enjoy. He's made some great movies that I like, but none of them I've ever loved though. Like Cloverfield, that movie's so much fun. Like it, but there's still some things that like bring it down that make me not love it. Same thing with his Planet of the Apes movies. My favorite one was the first one of that trilogy, but I think though he took the second, third one to new heights, but I just never enjoyed those ones as much as the first one. I can't really remember Let Me In. I kind of refused to see that movie. Like, I'm sure it's good, but kind of just refused to see it just because I love Let the Right One In so much. But I really like his take on Batman. It's cool that Warner Brothers took a shot on him, just because I feel like he is almost like he's done some successful movies, but I'm like, wow, this is a big project to give to a guy who like hasn't made like $1 billion movie, but give him full creative control. And I like that he went all out with it and went into the overall direction that I would have wanted to see a Batman movie go in, like that whole David Fincher-esque whodunit murder mystery thing. Like, that's what I've always wanted from a Batman movie, and I got it, but there's just a couple things that just bring it down. Length, of course, is one of them, but a few other things. What are your thoughts on it?
So yeah, I think the length when it comes to this movie is almost like a freaking epic. Like, this movie is 3 hours. I know I've heard a lot of people say like, oh, I just don't know what I would cut out of the film. And I think I was saying that after initially watching the movie. But I think, this has been, I think we kind of sat with this one for a little bit, and I actually appreciated that because I could think more about after my initial viewing of like what I've actually thought about certain aspects of it, especially like after coming out of the theater. I wasn't really even sure entirely how I felt about the movie. I knew I liked it, but I wasn't sure like where does this really rank for me, not even just like as a Batman movie, but as a movie in general. And I think I thought about it like at first I was saying like I don't know what I would cut out of it, but like, dude, I would cut the shit out of this movie. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Like, me and you are part of the 90-minute Die Hard movie club, so if for me, like, this is unacceptable, dude. A 3-hour movie, come on, man. This is just disrespectful to everyone's bladders out there. But anyways, I think there's a lot that could have been cut from this film. I don't know ultimately if it would make it a better movie necessarily, but I don't feel like the bloated runtime made it a better movie as well. So there's a lot of stuff that I like about this movie that I think a lot of other people kind of dislike those aspects, and then I think a lot of the stuff that people have kind of really enjoy about this movie is actually some of the stuff that I dislike about it. Not to be like a super contrarian or anything, but that's just kind of where I've lied for it. But I'm gonna just talk about the elephant in the room, because I haven't really heard anyone talk about this, and this is definitely something that dawned on me even in the theater that just I didn't enjoy. And I think necessarily this was probably at the script level, was just the kind of climax of the film I just really don't think hits. They kind of take the Riddler in this kind of I'm just gonna assume everyone's seen it. Sorry, this is gonna get into spoilers here, but to try to limit the amount of time that these episodes last, we're not really going to get into the plot entirely, but we will talk about spoilers, obviously. And I'm just going to start talking about the end of the film, quite frankly, because that was where a lot of my problems lied. But yeah, I just felt like the climax didn't really fit the film almost entirely. I felt like a lot of the film felt like it had kind of reached the climax. Even I remember checking my watch and there was still like about an hour to 45 minutes left of the film. And I was like, whoa, this is like, there's still that much going on. But really there wasn't. I just feel like the whole last kind of climactic, somewhat action sequence it didn't work for me at all, let alone I didn't like I just felt like the QAnon references, it didn't really hit in 2022, let alone the whole like mass shooting subplot. It didn't work for me. I felt like it was just, I know that this is a really serious, dour, tries to be more realistic approach to Batman, which I liked at times. But when it went here, I'm like, dude, I'm going to the movies for escapism, and especially in a superhero movie of all movies, I think everyone goes to those movies for escapism. I just didn't like the kind of realistic sense of like a mass shooting in a movie, especially one that has kind of a storied history like the Batman series. Whether they wanted to have that or not, it's something that film series is always going to be carrying with it. Sadly, that's always going to be carried with it. So I felt like that could have been like avoided, and I don't feel like even its inclusion made the film better by any means.
Yeah, it was like horrifying and like a interesting well, no, I don't want to say interesting because it's a very dark moment and stuff. And so, of course, like he stops them and stuff. Only like one person I think gets shot. And it's not even a fatal shot, I think. But like, you know, it feels very realistic. But you're right, like not just that, but you're kind of holding yourself back from more of the other fun villains out there, like Clayface and Mr. Freeze, and then you're setting up the Joker again. I'm just like, we've seen the Joker so many times. Like, it's already bad enough that we get so many Batman movies. Now we're getting more Joker movies and stuff. And just like, it's cool that we got a Riddler movie, and he had his moment to shine, but still not necessarily like they can definitely bring him back, I'd say. But just, you know, I'm not sure what direction they plan on going on and stuff too. There's so much room to go, especially now that they're doing like 2 or 3 spin-off HBO Max shows. But yeah, you're right, like I agree, like don't hold it into a bubble of just like keeping it all realistic essentially and stuff, because I liked it and I did like that aspect, and like I said, this is everything I did want, but just a couple things were holding back. And I'd say overall the climax just feels very underwhelming. I was never bored, and for a Batman movie not really having that much action, there's just really that opening scene where he takes down the gang, and then there's the cool car chase scene, a couple fights at the club and stuff, and then the climax really. But that's really it. But what keeps you entertained is just the, you know, the murder mystery aspect, and just like seeing how he interacts with people. He's so awkward, and like obviously Bruce Wayne is Batman, and I'm sure he's gonna get more of that Bruce Wayne persona in future sequels. But you know, like just like there a couple things like that were just things that were holding it back. I felt like, just like we've brought this up so many times in reviews. I'm sick of exposition in movies, and I get it. We all know who Batman is. But my girlfriend, who only knows the very basics and stuff, I had to keep explaining who this Maroni guy is they were talking about. They don't show us who Maroni is the whole movie, which is fine, you don't need to, but just the fact that they keep saying, oh, the cops brought down Maroni and like they're great, and then like they keep talking about a whistleblower and a rat within the cop system and a rat within the mob that like gave up Maroni and stuff, and just like my girlfriend's like, wait, isn't that Maroni? I'm like, no, that's Falcone. Like they set it up better in the original Dark Knight movies, where Maroni and Falcone, they are two very big characters that they casted and like have their big moments and stuff. But here we just constantly keep hearing the name Maroni. I would have been confused too if I didn't know who Batman was. And that's things that I hate about like the Harry Potter franchise and multiple other franchises, that exposition and just them expecting you to know him. And I just would have, like, there's so much talk about Maroni that I feel like if you're not going to show him, cut all this out. Like, they could have just did the same thing with Falcone playing that same role, but maybe he got out of jail or something like that. Like, or well, no, never mind, that wouldn't have worked out at all. But just there would have been a better way to go about it, I felt like.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, especially like the kind of like amount of people that probably watched this film that had that problem obviously is like probably very high. You know, like just the amount of people that didn't maybe have that knowledge going into the films, and then you're just like kind of questioning, because I mean, how many movies do I watch where I don't literally know like half the characters' names? Like Batman, this is a more like legendary series and franchise, and I've read comics, so I recognize a lot of the, you know, characters that appear throughout the medium. But yeah, if you're like I'm just watching some random indie movie, sometimes they just identify people by the actor playing them rather than name themselves. So I feel like this film definitely could suffer from problems like that, and clearly it did. So yeah, it's something else that I thought about. This isn't like a major gripe entirely about this film as a whole, because I thought the prosthetics and makeup in this film was fucking incredible on Colin Farrell. Like, I think everyone's gonna say, wow, the makeup that they did, the prosthetics that they put on him is freaking incredible. It's so crazy. Like, it doesn't even look like him at all. It's awesome. But then at the same time, I have to ask myself, like, is there just no character actors left to cast in that role of the Penguin? Is that we have to cast a leading star? Like, Colin Farrell's a fucking leading man, and he's just playing this character actor role in this movie. And usually in the history of Hollywood or anything, you rarely ever see leading men become character actors unless it's a major career change. But I don't feel like Colin Farrell's making that career change because of this movie or anything. I just feel like we've almost lost a caliber of actors that can play in major blockbuster movies as character actors. And that kind of depresses me a little bit. I'm like, damn, we lost like the Philip Seymour Hoffmans, the James Gandolfini's, and I'm sure there's I'm just talking about the ones that are gone, but there's some that probably, you know, haven't really, I mean, have moved to TV. Honestly, where's Jeff Daniels? I'm not saying like for the Penguin, but just the great character actors that have kind of moved to TV, because that's given them a way to explore their craft. But we have to now give leading actors major prosthetics to, I mean, I think Colin Farrell did a great job, but what's the point is kind of where I'm getting at. Like, there was nobody that we could find that didn't need prosthetics.
That was one of my problems with House of Gucci with Jared Leto taking that role. I'm like, what's the point? Like, what was the point over all this? Like, did he think he was going to get an Oscar for putting in all this makeup and stuff and going so over the top when he honestly looked nothing like the real life person? And then just like, I'm like, there's hundreds of people who look that way. Like, why not cast them? Why'd you have to get a skinny pretty boy guy and make him overweight and ugly and stuff? I'm like, that's like, what the hell? Like, you just get a normal person. And that makes me feel like you're basically saying like, oh, like, we don't want ugly people in Hollywood in our movies. We want to get these pretty people and, you know, just make them look like one of the normies out there and stuff. Like, I mean, granted, nobody looks like the Penguin, but like, I remember though, when people were asking for Christopher Nolan to cast for the Penguin, I remember there are a lot of fan art of Philip Seymour Hoffman as it and stuff too. And, you know, like, it's a missed opportunity to, like, you know, get someone who just put on crazy prosthetics who might already be in that body shape per se. But not saying Colin Farrell didn't do bad or anything, but just like, now that he's going to do a TV show of it, I'm like, damn, that's a lot of, you know, he's going to put on a bodysuit and makeup every day for that versus someone, you know, who might already be that shape and require less makeup features.
I think my major gripe with it is just the fact that this is kind of setting a precedent. We've already, like you just mentioned, another film that literally did this within the last year. So this is just setting a precedent of like, now, from now on, they just want everyone to be a lead, like, you know, and then they're not, like, the way of the character actor is basically dead. Like, that's basically what we're finding out. If they're not going to TV, that role is gone. Like, there's just not going to be character actors anymore. And that I guess is my major gripe. It's not really totally a gripe with this film, but just the precedents that have been set with, you know, the current casting of movies, just fully disregarding casting anyone that's not a leading man.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, other than that, that's pretty much all my negative thoughts. But I know some people have brought up these aspects and stuff too. But just like, you know, I think a lot of people are surrounded by just like, this is their version of Batman. This is the version of Batman they've always wanted. And that's cool. I really liked it. This is the version I've always wanted. But just, you know, like, it could have been done a little bit better. And we almost got it. I felt like it's still not my favorite Batman movie. Like, everyone says The Dark Knight, this is the best one since The Dark Knight. It might be better than Dark Knight. Dark Knight isn't even my favorite Batman movie, and I love Batman. Batman the animated series, best Batman movie is still Batman Mask of Phantasm. I just love that animated show. But no, this was a very solid take though. Like, I know it sounds like we're kind of bringing it down. I really enjoyed it. Check out my Letterboxd star rating. I liked it a lot. I probably will check it out again, but just like, I feel like everyone just, when superhero movies come out, they get stuck with the hype and stuff, and just like, that's what we are here for, YouTube.
Yeah, most definitely. I think, yeah, it might seem like we were kind of like, I guess, a little bit harsher on this movie, but I definitely did enjoy this movie. Like you said, you could check our Letterboxd ratings. We enjoyed this movie, and you might even look at a lot of my Letterboxd ratings and think, oh wow, that's kind of low. But I rate movies on a 4-star scale, which I'm trying to fix, because it kind of looks bad eventually when people look like, yo, nothing's 5 stars or even 4 stars. Yeah. So yeah, I've been trying to adjust my ratings lately, review stuff a little bit higher than I normally would, but I've always reviewed movies on a 4-star rating because nothing's perfect, you know. But a 3.5 doesn't sound good, but to me a 3.5 is like up there. Like, that's a great movie.
Yeah, no, that's what I gave it. Like, 3.5 is really good. Like, even like some of my favorite movies, I have gripes with every one of my like these favorite movies, but that's what we're here for, just to actually talk about movies that are, you know, like, actually, you know, try to give a more film maker aspect or film student aspect, and just like, you know, not praise every single thing. And a movie doesn't have to be perfect. Every movie shouldn't be 1 star or 5 star. That's how a lot of people rate things. And no, like there can be a lot of good movies in between and stuff. 2.5 for me still is pretty good. Like I rate 2.5. Like I liked it. I just never would watch it again. That's how I see 2.5. 3.5 is like, damn, I like that. That was good. I'd watch that again. Like, yeah, hell yeah. Not perfect, not amazing, but it's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's our thoughts on The Batman. Everyone's got thoughts on this movie. Leave a comment letting us know what you thought about it. It's in theaters, so be sure to go check it out. I'm sure you've already seen it. See it a second time. Go for it. There's nothing else playing in theaters right now. After you do that, yeah, come back here and let us know what you thought about it.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button. What are you doing? Hit that thing. And if you haven't, click the subscribe button and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
Also, if you can't get enough of us here on YouTube, be sure to catch us down below with all our Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Letterboxd links. Look at those in the description box below. Anyways, guys, that'll conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new video.